We're going to our family for Thanksgiving. We're all really excited. It's been nearly 2 years since we've all got together as a family for Thanksgiving. It's a really exciting time, but obviously it's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be really busy. How can I prepare my son beforehand so that we can start getting him prepared for the big day?
Yeah. And that's such a process. I think preparation is a process. And you don't want to do it too soon to where it becomes something that he fixates on and worries about, but you don't want to wait too late for him to not get the chance to prepare. So I think about thinking about the right time to bring it up and kind of start bringing it into the family conversation. And then what details are going to be key for him. So it might be, what is the location like? How is the house set up? What's nearby? What is the trip to the house going to be like, or wherever you're staying? And, that may not be something you have information about, but if you can let him know, okay, you'll be staying in a room with so-and-so or by yourself. Think about things that he can bring with him that would feel important. So not just the clothes, what is he going to wear, but what are some of those regulation things that he can bring along? Maybe he needs a book to look at. Maybe he needs some fidgets. Maybe he needs a special toy, whatever it is that is a comfort object to him that helps him feel that he's having some enjoyment. You obviously want to bring things that are small enough that you can pack and bring along. But, helping him and letting him have some say in the things that come along. But also making sure that there's enough so that you have choices while you're there. Mm-hmm. And then I also think just helping him understand what Thanksgiving is about. You could maybe get a book from the library to go through with him, help him understand why this is an important holiday. And then talk about the family members that he's going to be interacting with. And, maybe if you have pictures, that would be really helpful to help him kind of, he may not be able to remember their names, but to put the names and the faces and how they're connected, just so he's oriented to the family. All of that stuff can go a long way for him to, not feel like he's got a lot of questions in the moment, and also just to help him get a picture of what things might look like.
I think as well, the other thing that I'm thinking about and is on my mind is that we haven't seen so many people in such a long time, and it's going to be quite a group, and I'm a little bit concerned about how they are going to react to his reaction, if you like, if that makes sense. So I don't know how he's going to react when he sees people, he meets them and he greets them again. There's usually a lot of hugging. He's not had a lot of hugging apart from his family recently because of COVID. So I don't want them to be upset or disappointed or sad. I don't want them to have expectations. Do you know what I mean? So it's about managing their expectations. So should I be talking to them ahead of time just to give them a bit of a backstory, or what would you suggest?
Absolutely. I think with family, doing the prep ahead of time is really key, because one of the hardest things is protecting their feelings, because there's not always this understanding about, especially physical touch. That's a way of showing affection and care. And if someone has difficulty with unexpected touch or too much touch or the wrong kind of touch, it can send the wrong signal. So people might get offended and think, oh, is there something wrong with me? Is there a reason why this individual doesn't want to be around me? And so letting them know ahead of time that touch can sometimes be tricky, and that it may be difficult for him to respond to hugs and touch, especially at first, as he's just kind of not sure what's going on yet. So it might, take him until you're leaving to feel comfortable giving hugs, or he may never get to that point. And for some family members, they'll be able to be cool with that. Others, when you show up, they may still try. And you've done your job of letting them know. So if they get their feelings hurt at that point, it's on them. But I think also letting Noah know that this is something that someone might request, and letting him know he has permission to say no. I think that's really key, because in those moments, if he kind of freezes and doesn't know what to do, that might put him in a vulnerable place where people think that's a yes when it's really not.
Yeah. Okay, that's great advice. And then the final thing is Thanksgiving dinner, which is always a bit of a challenge for us, because we have a bit of a picky eater. He is getting better. But obviously it's a big sit around the table kind of situation. And I just wondered if you have any advice as to how we kind of navigate that.
Yeah, don't let him get hangry before the
Yes,
meal.
yes,
So let him have some snacks
mhm,
and help him understand that the meal at Thanksgiving is, yes, it's about the food, but it's more about the interaction and being with family and sharing moments together. And so figuring out a way that he can do that and maybe not worry about the food.
mhm,
So you can always say, people will really appreciate it if you are at least willing to put something on your plate. But, if it's not something that you're going to eat and it bothers you that it's on your plate, this is how we'll handle that. So have a plan for that. If he can't put it on his plate, let him know that's okay too. That may be another thing you have to communicate with family ahead of time. But making sure he's not super, super hungry, because then he'll also be cranky and then he won't be fun to be around. So making sure that he's actually pretty well regulated around his appetite. And then thinking a little bit strategically about, is there a particular food that you know that he would eat? And whether you provide it or you can ask someone else to make it, or just making sure that there is something that he really enjoys. And then also thinking about where he's going to be positioned in the room. So individuals that have sensitivities, they tend to like to either be near an exit so that they can leave quickly if they need to, or they like to be in a place where no one will bump or jostle them. So that would typically be, maybe in a corner at the head of a table with a wall to their back or a piece of furniture to their back. So there isn't going to be movement behind them. That does a lot to help them feel like they can stay in their seat a little bit longer.
okay, great advice. Thank you.